debris indicative of a crab boat going down. No life rafts, no survival suits, no nothing. And yes, it's that destination.
Many reality shows are known for making situations more dramatic than they really are, but this is not the case with Deadliest Catch. The series showcases more than just the dangerousness of the crab fishing profession on the Bering Sea, but is also known for the scandalous lives and private affairs of its cast. However, while those aspects can be unfortunate, that's nothing compared to the sad and crude tragedies that have happened on the sea, and which viewers of the show have seen throughout the 17 seasons the show has aired. What happened to the sunken ships we have seen in the show? Have any cast members died on board? Just sit back and pay attention, because from now on, you'll get to know all the insights into the saddest tragedies on the sea of Deadliest Catch. While we will mostly showcase incidents that have been included in the show, we will also include some unfortunate happenings involving former cast members or ships which have been part of Deadliest Cast in the past. Although the Big Valley wasn't directly part of the show, its sinking remains one of the earliest and saddest events to be showcased in Deadliest Catch, letting the audience see the US Coast Guard and crew members of the ships Maverick, Cornelia Marie, and Sea Rover as they search for the sunken crabber survivors. On a side note, Big Valley appeared in the pilot episode of Deadliest Catch, making the situation even sadder for those cast members who got to meet its crew. What happened to it? The unfortunate event goes back to the morning of the 15th of January 2005, when exactly at 8 a.m., the Big Valley's Captain Gray Edwards set off the ship's emergency radio beacon. Right then, the ship was located 70 miles away from St. Paul Island, Alaska. Despite the fact that the crew could mark the location, the situation unfortunately got out of hand just too quickly. The search efforts lasted for several days, but of the 6 crew members on board, only 1 survived. 2 dead bodies were recovered, and 3 were never found, including Edwards. Following the declarations of the only survivor, Cash Seal, he was asleep at the time he felt the ship was rolling over. In the middle of his confusion, he heard his fellow crew members' voices, but the situation was so hasty that his only instinct was to reach the life raft. According to the local authorities at the time of its sinking, the Big Valley was carrying 3 times its weight capacity, which could have been the cause of the ship's demise. 1 year after the shipwreck of the Big Valley, another tragedy hit Deadliest Catch, with the sinking of the commercial ship Ocean's Challenger. The unfortunate event took place in October 2006 when the boat capsized while fishing 90 miles away from Sand Point. While the true cause of the accident is still unknown, even after so many years, the weather apparently played a big part in the boat's unfortunate fate. Out of 4 crew members, only the fisherman Kevin Farrell survived, thanks to the fact that he was wearing a survival suit. It was also reported that prior to the ship's capsize, the crew was able to launch a life raft, but were unable to reach it due to the rough sea conditions. Despite the fact that the Ocean Challenger wasn't part of Deadliest Catch, some of the cast members can be seen taking part in the search for and recovery of the bodies in the 3rd season's episode The Unforgiving Sea. The tragedy surrounding the now sunk ship Alaska Ranger is one of those stories that make people wish things had been handled differently. The Ranger had been operative for over 30 years at the time of its capsizing and was owned by a famous fish factory. However, no matter the apparent expertise of its crew, it didn't prevent the boat from going through a fate which resulted in the death of 5 people on the 23rd of March 2008. The sinking's cause was thoroughly investigated by authorities, and while many theories were considered, official reports point to the loss of the rudder and the subsequent flooding of its room as the accident's origin. However, if there's something that still raises eyebrows about this case, it's the fact that the Coast Guard has initially received the wrong number of crew members to find, which led them to stop the search at 46 people, and only resume the operation the following day when they were informed that another person was missing. The shipwreck resulted in 42 survivors and 4 dead bodies being recovered. The 1 person lost at sea was the same one that the Coast Guard had to resume the rescue efforts for, but it's obvious that it was too late for that crew member at that point. If you're interested in knowing more about this sad accident, Deadliest Catch aired a short special episode about the case for the 4th season's finale episode, entitled The Last Hour. At this point, you might have already noticed that shipwrecks are not a rare occurrence to be showcased in the show. The story of the fishing vessel Katmai is similar to the previous ones, having sunk on the 21st of October 2008, 120 miles from the west side of Adak Island. At the time, it was supposed that the shipwreck was caused by a storm moving through the Amchit Pass, but as was later determined in an investigation, the vessel was actually presenting many problems even before that. Of the 11 crew members aboard the Katmai, only 4 survived. One of them was the ship's captain, Henry Blake III, who affirmed at the Board of Investigation of the Coast Marine that the ship was presenting problems related to its pumps since the start of the fishing season. Although he had hoped that the crew could go on without major inconvenience, it ultimately resulted with the flooding of the vessel. The moment in which the situation turned for the worse, he ordered his crew to put on their security suits. Blake and part of the crew held onto a life raft for 17 hours until the rescue, but it was already too late for 7 of them. You can see the Katmai's heartbreaking demise in the first 2 episodes of Deadliest Catch's 5th season. The death of Cornelia Marie's captain and owner, Phil Harris, is probably the saddest event that has happened in the show. Not only was he a longtime cast member, but he was also a definite fan favorite. The story of Phil is inspiring to say the least. He was actually introduced to fishing by his father in his childhood, resulting in him becoming a captain at only 21 years of age, something very unusual in the Bering Sea's fishing business. Though besides his impressive career, his personal life was turbulent. After 2 divorces, it seems that Phil's romantic life wasn't very steady, and so it was with his relationship with his younger son Jake, with whom he had a strong argument regarding the young man's addiction habits weeks before his health took a turn for the worse. So, if you don't remember what happened to him, it will be good to refresh your memory. Phil started the 2010s crab fishing season with several health problems, including back disc injuries and chronic pain, something which he endured for weeks until the 29th of January, when he was found on his room's floor, unable to move. Phil was transported from the Cornelia Marie to Anchorage Hospital, and while in the following weeks his condition seemed to be improving, he died on the 9th of February 2010. If you want to remember him, you can watch the episode in his honor entitled Valhalla, part of the 6th season of Deadliest Catch. However, Phil Harris was a strong man whose legacy went beyond TV, and he will be remembered by his family, crew, and fans of the series. Although this accident didn't involve a shipwreck or someone's death, it ended up with some severe negative consequences. To wrap up the story, in January 2013, the Hillstrands brothers' fishing vessel, the Time Bandit, was transporting a load of fireworks of their family's brand. The fisherman David Zielinski was apparently ordered to launch a device in celebration of a sports team's victory, but the situation got out of hand when one exploded in his hand, destroying his skin and bones. Fortunately, Zielinski didn't lose his life in such a terrible event, but did end up losing his hand. He subsequently filed a lawsuit asking for monetary compensation from the Hillstrands brothers, which was ultimately granted in his favor in July 2019. Sig Hansen is not only one of the most well-known captains in Deadliest Catch, but he's also a very polemic one. However, while we're not going to get into the details of his personal life or the legal issues that he has had for years, it's important to point out that his life is very complicated on the sea as well, especially when it comes to his health. In 2016, the show's audience got to see the dramatic moment in which Sig suffered severe chest pain and subsequently fell unconscious. While at the time, it was seemingly obvious for the viewers that he was suffering a heart attack, Sig only learned the true nature of the incident after the Northwestern reached Dutch Harbor and he was taken to see a health specialist in Anchorage. The incident was followed by a long recovery that kept him away from the screen for an entire season. Later in October 2018, Sig suffered a second heart attack, which was apparently related to an allergy caused by the use of medications. Though this incident wasn't directly shown on screen, Sig mentioned it in a 15th season episode. Sig Hansen's health has fortunately been stable these past years, but he surely frightened Deadliest Catch fans more than a few times. Even if the ship and its crew weren't part of the show cast, the sinking of the fishing vessel The Destination is definitely one of the saddest tragedies showcased in Deadliest Catch. The Destination went missing while roaming the waters of the Bering Sea near St. George Island on the 11th of February 2017. Following reports from the time, the incident occurred just too quickly, and it left the 6-member crew with little to no time to react or launch a raft to save their lives, ultimately resulting with the unfortunate deaths of all of them. As several journals reported at the time, the Destination marked the biggest shipwreck tragedy to occur in Alaskan waters in over a decade. In honor of the Destination's crew and their families, Deadliest Catch aired a brief segment in the 13th season's finale episode, in which it was very clear how saddened by the tragedy some of the show's cast members were. It turns out the sunk ship's late captain, Jeff Hathaway, was their personal friend, or even a hero in Jake Anderson's case. who expressed how important the man was for him during an interview with Pop Culture in 2018. "He was the first person to ever offer me a real job as a captain. Sadly enough, everything points to the destination being overloaded well beyond its capacity, though the crew wasn't to blame, as they apparently weren't informed of the true limitations of the vessel." The sinking of the Scandalous Rose in 2020 wasn't showcased in Deadliest Catch, but involved a former cast member, Dean Gribble Jr., who appeared in the 13th season of the show. The Scandalous Rose capsized on New Year's Eve 2020 while it navigated the waters near Kodiak Island, resulting in the death of 3 people. Only 2 crew survived the tragedy, the ship's captain Gribble and fisherman John Lawler. While it's known that the shipwreck was caused by severe, rough wind and sea conditions, Gribble affirms it just happened too fast. From sleeping to swimming was about 10 minutes, he told ABC News, clearly indicating the boat sinking had taken everyone by surprise. The sinking of Scandalous Rose and all of the other tragedies we have mentioned surely affected the families and friends of those who died. However, it also shows the crudeness and reality of the fishing occupation, putting a deeper insight into what Deadliest Catch is truly about.
It's time that I insist. I will not pause again.
Alright.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.